Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love, to Astro Fenixx, flying into the moment yet again and radiating love as always. And I'm a little bit late to the party, but that is okay. That is okay. Say yes to a new reality. We're going to be talking about the Virgo new moon. And looking at just taking a look at the transits and then going back in time and then going into the future to look to see when these Virgo new moons pop up. We're not going to get one like this for a while, so take advantage of this moment because this Virgo new moon is opening up this whole new reality. But this reality, it's really going to be an opportunity for us to expand and evolve and grow into our path, our destiny, our fate. All of these sound like cute and fluffy words and stuff like that. You hear these things tossed around the spiritual New Age community. But the truth of the matter is that we are being called into a whole new reality right now. And it was interesting because I was trying to figure out, what can I call this video? What can I title it as? So I was like, well, the answer is simple. So I drew a card from the Answer is Simple Oracle card deck, and I pulled the card of Say Yes. The number is 35. And this is beautiful because it is saying that we should say yes to this new reality, which we should say yes to a new routine. We should say yes to these things. What is Virgo energy? We have a stellium in Virgo right now. We have Mars here, the planet of action, the planet of war, this intensity, this ambition. We have that in Virgo right now. We have Venus, the planet of beauty, the planet of manifestation in many ways as well, of communication, of relationships. That is currently in Virgo. We have Mercury, the planet of the mind, also in many ways communication. We have that aspect as well in Virgo. We have the sun in Virgo, this radiance, that starlight quality, being able to really embrace and share our gifts with the world in Virgo. And then we have the moon, our emotions, our subconscious, in many ways kind of the hidden realm, underneath the water, underneath the currents, the water, the motion, also in Virgo. This is going to be a powerful new moon. New moons are always a time of planting seeds. And yes, they are also a time of release, because what happens is that during the new moon, we are looking at what we have manifested over the past 6 months. And based off of what has grown and or not grown, that's when we decide to transplant things so that we can move things to a certain light or to a certain space or location so it can actually promote the growth. Or if we decided to plant other seeds in place of that, we have to have the ability, the emotional strength, and also the courage to remove those seeds that didn't exactly spawn the way that we wanted to. And that's where this new manifestation comes, because it's in the place of those plants that we remove that didn't quite grow. It is where in those spaces where we plant new seeds. And of course, it's not enough just to plant a seed. We have to take action. We have to water it. We have to nurture it. We have to make sure it gets the right sunlight. We have to make sure it's the right depth in the soil itself. We have to make sure that it's not, there's not a lot of other seeds around it, so it has room and to grow and to breathe and to come into its own. So new moons are a time of manifestation and planting new seeds, but they also are a time of release. A lot of times people think that new moons are beginnings, full moons are endings. And just to kind of chalk it up as that basic of a look and perception is really going to damn you, because it's not going to allow you to make cuts where you need to. When it comes to new moons, especially those that happen in Virgo, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the last month of summer. So we're getting ready for the harvest season anyways. We're getting ready. This is the time where we are going to harvest, where we are going to start to really see this is your reality. This is what you've manifested throughout the year. And now this is going to be the time where we gather those manifestations, we gather those nuts, those berries that we forage for, and we harvest and we prepare for the fall and for the winter, metaphorically and like literally too. This is the time of foraging. This is that time where we actually are starting to prepare. This is the moment where we had to get all of our ducks in a row. Virgo is a very organized sign. You know, it's very meticulous. It's very particular about things. But what happens a lot of times? We can get caught up in this sort of emotional attachment to manifestations or seeds that we planted before, maybe 6 months prior. We get caught up in these things. And some of these seeds have grown and have spawned flowers, but some of these things have not grown. And we have to have discernment, and we have to be strong enough within ourselves to have the necessary compassion, but also realizing that compassion is not necessarily being nice. It's also making cuts where we need to. And from like, you know, if we planted something and it didn't quite work out the way that we thought, it's either we do transplant it so we can see what happens. And then come Libra season, that's when we begin to compromise. That's when we begin to harmonize and balance things out. And then if it still hasn't grown by Scorpio season, then that's usually where you cut it off, right? But this is a time to where, like, if you know something hasn't really manifested and worked out, and you don't necessarily want to go through the trouble of transplanting it, but you have, say, another inspiration or ambition that you want to plant within that soil that is your life, then it is time for you to take that plant that didn't quite grow the way that you wanted to. It's time for you to take that plant out and kind of throw it back into the earth, because we got to remember, Virgo, what is it? It's mutable earth. So even if we plant certain things that don't quite grow into their maturity and their fruition, and we want to instead commit that space to something else, a new project, a new relationship, a new job, whatever it is that you're wanting to bring into your life, we have to have the courage and the bravery to remove those things from our lives so we can create the necessary space to plant those new seeds. A lot of these new seeds come up during when? Leo season. And we get that new moon in Leo where we get these new ambitions, these new inspirations, to whether those things that we have been working on manifesting in those 6 months leading up to the Virgo new moon, it's either we come at it from the stage of, you know, maybe, you know, you get even more excited about it, right? You get even more impassioned by it. You really want to commit more to it. You find joy in it. And then you take it the next step further. But then we also have that full moon in Aquarius. And that's the moment where we have to realize that, you know, not that Aquarius is not an emotional sign, but it is that time where we have to have the discernment and remove things from our life if they simply aren't giving us that emotional satiation. Aquarius is the water bearer. So it's like Aquarius can't spend so much time giving water to one individual. Aquarius has to make it to all the other individuals that are in line. So there can be a tendency during Virgo season, especially when you get to the new moon, to where if you don't make the necessary decisions during the Aquarius full moon on what to release yourself from, then you can find yourself overwatering seeds that simply aren't going to grow into what you really want them to be and what you really desire. And that's a tough lesson to learn. We all have to go through this really every single year. There's usually at least one or a couple things that we may continue to try and overwater, and it's just like, hey, if it doesn't grow, it doesn't grow. And this happens. If you even take this from like a literal standpoint, kind of look at it as like, and I've even witnessed this, right? my fiance, she's been, getting really into plants and all this sort of stuff. Sometimes plants last a while. Sometimes they die. It happens. But what do? We remove them from the soil. We throw them back out into, the earth, and it goes back into the earth and it mutates. It's mutable. It's able to go back into the earth and create more soil for those other seeds to grow. So that's how you got to treat this. It's not simply about discarding what didn't grow. It's about using that as soil for these new creations, these new manifestations that we're wanting to bring forth. Because if you do not remove these things, if you do not prune the leaves, if you do not create space, then what you're going to plant during the Virgo new moon is not really going to evolve, and you're not really going to see the manifestation of it and the magic and the beauty of it come Pisces season, because that's when we manifest from the new moon. It's always 6 months after. That's usually the culmination point. So when we get the Virgo full moon in Pisces season, we're going to really see, okay, based off of the reality that I chose during the Virgo new moon, this is what I manifest during Pisces season, right? And then it's at that moment where it's like, either it's super magical and it's great and we're on like cloud 9 and we're riding that ride, or we want to escape from the reality that we've manifested. And it can play out in different ways just based off of how you're feeling in the moment, where your psyche is in the moment, and whether or not you've actually done the work. Because it's not just enough to plant a seed, you have to actually do something about it. So that's the beautiful thing. It's a checks and balances system. Because once we go into Libra season, that's when we get that full moon in Aries. So it's like we do get this check and balance when it comes to our actions, when it comes to trying to create harmony in our life. We get that check and balances. So it's like we can plant a seed during Virgo season, then we'll get that full moon in Aries while the sun is in Libra. And then that's when we really have to ask ourselves, am I really acting towards this goal that I'm trying to manifest? Am I really acting towards this reality, this new day-to-day life that I'm wanting to create during the Virgo new moon? That's when we get that full moon. When we get that full moon in Aries, that's when that's like the first time that we begin to ask ourselves that question. So this Virgo new moon is about saying yes to the new reality. I think we all can attest to how crazy these times are. I think we are living in some of the most beautiful times ever, but we're also living in some of the most information dense and inundating times ever. The average person right now has so much information at their fingertips. So much information at their fingertips. Almost everyone, especially if you're watching this, I'm assuming you have a cell phone. You can access more information within the next 5 to 10 minutes after clicking off this video than the average person accessed during their entire life in the 1800s, even the early 1900s. So much information. And when we're bombarded with all that, trying to organize all that is kind of crazy. This is why Virgos are going insane right now, because Virgo is all about organization. It's in many ways, it's kind of like a library, Virgos. And trying to categorize and organize and structure all of this freaking information, it's been harder on Virgos every single year because there's so much bullshit to try and sort through, let's be real. And then it's just like, what do people care about? That's the other thing, though. What do people really care about? And we can see, I think we all can attest to it, that, yeah, while it is okay sometimes to kind of just keep things a little surface level, and have fun and all that stuff. Like, we all enjoy memes. I think memes is probably some of the greatest things that's ever come out of the internet. Just memes. Like, it's incredible. It's funny. It's like people are able to connect over them. It even pops up in just like daily conversation. It's so weird, right? But then what's really truly important to you? That's the other thing. And since there's so much information that we have been bombarded with, we're like kind of almost drowning in a sea of information, and we're really trying to discern what is true, what is false, what is actual hope, what is false hope, what is light, what is dark. And then you have all of this weird middle ground where you'll have people start to gatekeep other people, and you have the creation of clubs. There's this creation of clubs that's happening right now, and it's weird because we really are all one. And yes, there are cultures, there are states, there are different languages, different cuisines, and all these sort of things. Yes, but what's interesting about this is that with Virgo being the sign of the Virgin and representing that purity, but being mutable earth, it means that literally everything that is born of this place is pure. And mutable means that it's changeable, it's adaptable, it's not fixed like Taurus, right? It's not cardinal like Capricorn, as far as like your actions and what you do with it. Virgo is speaking to this deeper quality that even though we are all different, we all came from this earth. We all have evolved out of the womb of this earth. And that is pure. That is what's sacred. And yes, there's a lot of diversity here. There's a lot of information that we're being bombarded with. And having the ability to sort through that information, that's what Virgo season is for. That is what Virgo season is for. So we have to take time during the Virgo new moon, especially, to really go over what really are our intentions. Because yeah, Virgo traditionally is ruled by Mercury, right? The planet of the mind, communication, writing. It's also, if you look at it more in an esoteric sense, its ruler is Chiron, the wounded healer. Where is Chiron right now? Chiron is in Aries. So we're getting that quincunx to this energy. This new moon is quincunx in Chiron, which is in Aries, and it's also trining over to Uranus, which is in Taurus. So we are getting this weird sort of caught between whether or not we're going to be focused on, they call Chiron the wounded healer, but it's really this area in our chart where our bravery and our courage supersedes our fear and our doubt. Because Chiron, if you know about the mythology of Chiron, was this immortal, powerful, badass warrior archer dude who became mortal. But instead of dwelling on the fact that he became mortal, he instead took that experience, gained wisdom from it, and was able to use that as a teaching modality and to help other people and how to overcome these tragedies that happen in our life. This is a quincunx that's forming. So there is some weird and awkward energy right now with Chiron being the ruler of Virgo over to all this Virgo energy. Not only that, but we do have Venus here. We do have Mars here. We do have Mercury here. You're not going to see this again. You're not going to see all of the personal planets bunched up in Virgo during a new moon. You're not going to see this again. I mean, I had to look at the actual I had to go out. I was on Planet Watcher, and I got to 2028, 2029, and I was like, okay, this is not going to happen again. It's not going to happen again. I think the next time it happens, Jupiter will be there, but Venus won't be there. And I think Mars would have just left. I think it's like Jupiter, Mercury, and the Moon and the Sun. But to have all the personal planets here is also a big deal. Mercury, personal planet, Mars, Venus, to have all these energies in Virgo. And if you really think about it, Virgo is kind of like this bridge point, because Virgo is the sixth sign, and it's right before we get into the upper half of the zodiac. So it does kind of provide this sort of bridge point. It's this sort of it's this sort of it is the sort of gateway. It's sort of like this checkpoint before we get into the upper half of the zodiac. And the universe is like, okay, all right, so this is your reality right now. Stark, full, in the nude. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to do anything about it? Do you enjoy it? What about it do you enjoy? What about it do you not so much enjoy? What about it do you resonate with? What about it just kind of makes you just cringe a little bit? You know what I mean? Just just a little bit, right? What about it do you want to expand upon? What about it do you want to change and more? This is mutable earth. This is a time of change. This is a time of adapting. This is a time of looking at what we've manifested in our day-to-day reality and being like, you know what, I like that, that, and that, not so much those things. So let me work on these things and work on morphing them. And these things that I do like, how about let's take it to the next level? How about let's expand it, right? There's this interesting energy with the quincunx over to Chiron where we may be concerned about what other people think. And there's also this deep bruising of the ego that we all have. And this is something I've been wanting to talk about. I talked about it a little bit before, but you know, especially within the New Age spiritual community, there's this whole thing about killing the ego, which is bullshit, right? Like, I think, you know, we all have met people who are like totally, completely 100% in the ego and their pride is just overflowing and it becomes dark, right? But you need your ego. Stop trying to kill Aries. Stop trying to kill Leo, okay? Stop trying to kill Gemini and Scorpio too, because they're involved in this. Stop trying to kill them, all right? And you can even say Sagittarius a little bit. But especially Aries, especially Gemini, especially Leo, and especially Scorpio, this whole idea of killing the ego is like, no. That's honestly a whole nother topic. But there is this bruising of our ego. There's this bruising of our ability to survive within this matrix. There's a bruising of it. Because what you're seeing is that people are wanting to break out of this matrix and, yeah, create their own societies and all this sort of stuff. I don't necessarily have an issue with that. But this world really won't change for the better for all of us if we don't kind of go into the matrix and change it from the inside. Because that's where the true change occurs. It's from the inside, not by going by the outside and trying to just hammer our way through. It goes from the inside and like coming out, right? If you have a seed, those little saplings erupt from the inside. You can't just keep knocking on the seed and be like, hey, are you gonna come out? Are you gonna come out? You gotta wait. Be patient. So there's that whole energy. The trine over to Uranus, there's this aspect with Uranus, which does rule masses of people, does rule the internet, and it's in Taurus. It rules innovation and technology, but Uranus is retrograde right now. There is this aspect of, with the trine, where it's like, we have to have the courage to change our life, even if other people do not see the value in it. Even if other people begin to slander us, begin to hate on us, we have to be able to change our reality if it really does fit within our core value, despite what other people think and feel about what we're doing. But I'll help people value what we're doing. We have to have the courage and bravery to walk that path anyways, because you'll see that. It's like you'll get on the path, you'll start walking, you'll start doing this work, and then you'll experience some hiccups along the way. And then you'll experience a wall. Maybe you break through that wall, but then the walls seem to become stronger and more fortified. But hey, you're getting stronger too. I'm gonna be a nerd right now. It's just like in Pokemon, when you're training up your Pokemon. Yes, you may start off with a level 5 Pikachu, right? And you may be battling Caterpies and Weedles, right? So those walls are kind of small. But eventually, you're going to be going up against like a level 30, I don't know, Machoke or Machamp or Alakazam. But guess what? You're level 30, or maybe you've grinded and you're level 35. So it's like, even though the wall is bigger and stronger, so are you. So that's the thing that happens with this, is that sometimes when we're walking this path and we start to come up with these challenges, we start to come up against them, people begin to fall into the trap of believing in the fear that everyone is projecting onto them, or the insecurity that people are projecting onto them, which is really a projection, which is really a reflection of what's going on within ourselves. We have to have the courage and bravery to continue to level up, to not just stop. You're not going to win the Pokemon League by just staying at level 30 with the Pikachu. You got to level yourself up. You got to keep going if you want to beat the Elite Four. Yes, I'm going on a total nerd rant right now, but that's just how this is. So saying yes to this new reality is deciding to level up, is deciding to move forward in a powerful way. Where's my, I think I left it over here, actually. Because I wanted to read to you all just real quick in the Inside the Degrees. I think it's in here. Yeah, my Inside the Degrees. This is for any of you who are into astrology and numerology. I highly recommend this book. This is a great resource. Inside the Degrees by Elias Lonsdale. So this new moon was occurring at 6 degrees of Virgo. This is around 6:30 a.m. and that was Eastern Standard Time. So let's read 6 degrees of Virgo, okay? A banyan tree that creates an entire forest, a towering structure, a towering stature, containing within yourself a vast creative force that can fill the world with its diverse and multiplex awareness. You have a graphic ability to evoke, to capture, to epitomize a realm, a world, to draw it forth, to highlight it. And then this extends into many others, such as the illumination. The fresh angle is sharply relevant and universally resonant. Experiencing for yourself the wisdom of the ages, proving it out afresh by experimentation and open discovery. Piercing to the core with your fluent presence in this world, saying in so many different ways, here it is again. I have found it over here. The living proof that nature is totally alive, that the creative power is everywhere, and that all of it yearns to be given voice, to be celebrated, to be acknowledged by one who can reach to the vasts and penetrate to the details, and make macrocosm and microcosm one. Ooh, couldn't say it better myself. Really couldn't. Probably could if I really wanted to. I want to read some parts of this again because I keep talking about planting seeds. Containing within yourself a vast creative force that can fill the world with its diverse and multiplex awareness. You have everything within you to fill your life with the experiences that you desire and that you are divinely aligned with. You really do. You have a graphic ability to evoke, to capture, to epitomize a realm, a world, to draw it forth, to highlight it. And this extends into many others, such that the illumination, the fresh angle is sharply relevant and universally resonant. Talking about just the multidimensional aspect of this reality. And I think that that's beautiful. How it said, what was it? It was the tag was a banyan tree that creates an entire forest. That's incredible. It's like just sort of envision yourself as a tree. And it's interesting how one tree contains many seeds. During the fall, the seeds drop, they drop into the ground, and then they sprout up and they create new plants. So each and every single one of us is a seed like that. But we also have to understand that there is some give and take to this. We have to understand that not all of these seeds are going to sprout. We got to understand that not all of the seeds that do sprout are going to make it to maturation. Some of them are going to stop in the process. Maybe they didn't get enough sun. Maybe they didn't fall in the right place. It happens sometimes, but that doesn't mean that we stop. It doesn't mean that we give up. It doesn't mean that we discard our ambition. It doesn't mean that we discard this idea of, oh, nothing will ever change. It's always going to be this way. No, you have absolutely the capability to create something new and to say yes to a new reality. So incredible. That's like so spot on, honestly. Let's see if I can share my screen actually, just so I can show you guys. Let's see. So here we actually have the transits for that new moon. So we have the moon here and the sun here at 6 degrees of Virgo. Look at this. We also have Mercury, which had just ingressed into Virgo not too long ago. We have Mars here at 7 degrees, very, very much so close and conjuncting this new moon. We have Venus here leading the charge, showing really what's possible. Like this beauty really is possible at 11 and 7 degrees respectively. And then of course we have that trine over to Uranus, not to mention all the Cap energy. You see all this Earth energy? Earth, Earth, Earth. We have no air energy, by the way. It's interesting. We have no air energy, nothing in Gemini, nothing over here in Aquarius, nothing here in Libra, you know. And we have limited fire. We have Jupiter, which is now forward, but we have Chiron in Aries, and Chiron is an exterior planet. It's more of a generational planet, so a lot of times the energy of Chiron is a little more subtle, but it is there. And then we have Neptune in Pisces, which is another very much so subtle energy, and it's retrograde. We have the North Node in Cancer, yes. So this is opening up a doorway for us to be able to really communicate with our guides and especially our ancestors. We have nothing in Scorpio. So this is a very earthly time. We are zapped into this reality. And what's interesting about it is that this is actually a very hard time to escape right now. Why? Because the planet of escape is retrograde. And whenever Neptune is retrograde, Neptune's actually awake. When Neptune's going forward, Neptune is asleep, because that's the realm that Neptune thrives in. When Neptune is retrograde, Neptune is awake, but life becomes very much so lucid. It becomes like a dream, but Neptune is actually awake. So right now we are in a point where we can't escape reality. With all of this Earth energy, we simply can't escape it, especially considering the fact that most of the planets that are going forward are the personal planets. Mercury, which is, you know, it doesn't really have a gender. Mercury is kind of more of a hermaphrodite as far as energy goes. The moon, our emotions. The sun, our gifts. Mars, our ability to act. Venus, this beautification process and relationships. These are all personal planets. And then we have Jupiter now moving forward, which is a transpersonal planet. It has a 12 to 13 year cycle. Spends about a year and about a month or so on some change in a sign. So it's like semi-generational, but it's transpersonal. It's not an exterior planet. So right now we are taking things very personally because all the other planets are retrograde. Saturn's going to be coming forward soon, sure, but we have Pluto retrograde, Neptune retrograde, Chiron retrograde, Uranus retrograde. We are taking things very personal right now. So this new moon, it can be a little hard as far as like if things aren't going the way that you want, you can be taking it personal, and you can be prone to kind of blaming it on other people and on other groups of people and situations, and kind of play the whole victim game. But we are being called to really embrace this new reality. I'm going to read 7 and 11 degrees of Virgo, but I'm also going to read 15 degrees of Sagittarius. Why? Because we have a 6 here, we have a 6 here, so we have a harmonic. We have a 6 over here with Uranus. We have a 6 included here with the nodes, but 1 plus 5 is 6, and that, you know, we have that harmonic of 6 energy. And 6 energy is what? It's actually ruled by Venus. And look who's leading the charge. Venus is leading the charge. So I'm going to read Mars 7 degrees of Virgo real fast for you guys. Okay, so we have, oh, this is great. A pie thrown in someone's face. Action and reaction. Reflexive mirroring of self by world and world by self. You are forced to confront yourself everywhere, starkly compelled to deal with karmas of past returned. Who did what to whom? Conflict, strife, tension, pressure. mischief, and the unexpected, on guard, agreeing to meet yourself through others and to find intimate reverberations from every side. You have an overwhelming experience of running into the consequences for even what you thought, a wraparound world of breakthroughs, quandaries, alliances, and dangers. On red alert 25 hours a day. 25 hours a day. Damn. Knowing that you cannot turn your back on threat or opportunity. Everything is obvious and super subtle, gross and elusive, tightly known and vastly beyond conception. I love how it begins off with action and reaction, because Mars is definitely a planet of action and in many ways reaction. And then here, right here at Virgo 7 degrees, that's where it's at. I'm going to actually skip ahead, and I'm going to go to Jupiter at 15 degrees Sagittarius, and then I'll come back to that Venus. Jupiter at 15 degrees Sagittarius, a tidal wave approaching. The momentum of collective events runs toward flood tide when there is a major transition from one cycle to another. Transitions from one cycle to another. The personal life stream runs in similar patterns. When you're getting ready to take off in a whole different direction, there is first a transition that is both immensely exciting and fantastically disturbing. You feel just about swept away by the oncoming changes. And just before they really get going, the tension, the pressure, and the strain can tear you apart. You want to go with it, yet you yearn for sanctuary. This keen ambivalence gets loaded with desire, anticipation, memory pictures, and utopian visions. The mix is volatile. Learning how to ride this wave is such a great endeavor that it in itself becomes what it is all about. The consummate opportunity to open wide, but stay substantively firm and concentrated. Mastery or bust. The infinite future or wipeout. A spine tingler all the way. Last Saturday I went. Oh crap! I almost forgot what it was called. It's kind of bad that I actually forgot what it was called, because it was actually really fun. But I went to this place where they had those wave boards, and like you kind of like hang on to like the boat, and then you have like a board, and you're like riding on the waves on the boat and stuff like that. But this place, they actually had like the thing that would pull you. It was like this whole like levee system thing. But wakeboarding. Golly, I finally remember. I went wakeboarding, and I crashed every single time. I barely could get up on the board. The one time I kind of got up on the board, I got taken out a little bit, and I crashed. I kept crashing. But here's the thing, though, about it when it comes to mastery. You're going to burn out. You're going to crash. You're going to fall. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to fall down, but will you keep getting back up? And that's the thing when it comes to these new cycles, when it comes to going from one thing to the next. You may kind of feel like you have wiped out. You may kind of feel like you've just fallen down. You may feel like you haven't been able to just get up on the board and stay up on the board. But it's like, how else are you going to learn how to master that? How else are you going to learn if you're so really, and I guess it's a weird thing, because we can get so focused on the end goal, we forget about the process itself. If you're focused on, I want to use this as an example as far as the wakeboarding. If you're focused solely on being able to do a trick off of like a beam in the water, then you're never going to learn how to get up on the board in the first place. And I wasn't really focused on getting up on a beam. I was really actually focused on getting up on the board in the first place. I think that's why I got so excited, because I was like, dude, I'm coming back here before the season is over, and I'm going to get up on that board. Like, I was so, and I'm still super excited about it. I just need to get a little more money first. But I was super excited because I really wanted to get up on that board. But it's like sometimes we get so caught up on, when I make it, I'm going to do this thing and that thing and that thing. It's like, what about the process? What about the whole journey? Yeah, there are going to be some wipeouts. You got to learn how to enjoy the wipeouts and the burnouts. You really do. Now we're going to go back and we're going to read 11 degrees of Virgo. And this is where Venus is. All right, Virgo 11 degrees. A 4-year-old girl dressed as a nurse. Innocence has its way to persist. You can grow up, yet retain the stance of the novice, beginner, the wonder worker. You foster a knack of renewing your original basic values and a way of being at every critical juncture, a quality unique and unmistakable at any age and within all situations, coming at things as though we all just got here and we are simply trying things on for size. The best of this quality is a sticking to prenatal resolves of a lofty integrity that refuses steadfastly to fall under the weight of the critical mind. The worst of this quality is that in its zeal, its dedication, and in its self-insistency, it invariably puts others to shame and generates in others the self-consciousness and self-judgment you are yourself bypassing. Oh my God. I'm going to read that again. The worst of this quality in its zeal, its dedication, and its self-insistency, it invariably puts others to shame and generates in others the self-consciousness and self-judgment you are yourself bypassing. Therefore, what is good for yourself proves to be bad for others and results in quandary, a confusing and puzzling situation, eventually impelling you to add one borrowed ingredient, the ability to take yourself lightly. Eventually adding the ingredient to take yourself lightly. And to, why are you so serious? Why are you so serious? That's where Venus was at during this new moon. This whole thing where it's like being able to approach things from a fresh perspective. But then on the other side, gatekeeping and gaslighting and kind of condemning others. And then we're bypassing this within ourselves because it's like we won't even acknowledge that there is some sort of self-condemnation that's going on here or some self-judgment because we may be too hard on ourselves. And we have to kind of lighten up and to not take things so seriously and to laugh it off. It's not like there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place to be serious and meticulous and stuff. And yeah, this is Virgo season. So in many ways, this is kind of the time to do it. But this is also saying that have fun while you're doing it and to not be so hard on yourself on the way it looks. Because one thing that does piss a Virgo off is like trying to organize something and then someone comes by and they just disorganize everything. And it's like a Virgo is very much so about their sanctuary. It's ruled by the hermit and tarot. So if you come into a Virgo sanctuary and you start to like move and shift things around, they're going to start to wig out. They're going to start to short circuit and stuff like that, right? So that's one thing about Virgos. Like if you come through and start like, you can't just like de-alphabetize like the books on the bookshelf. Like you can't just do that because a Virgo's gonna be like, it's not perfect. Like they're gonna just start short-circuiting, smoke's gonna start coming out their ears, or eyes are gonna start to be like twisting, and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? There is an element of surrender though to this new moon because even though we have all this Virgo energy, even though there's a lot of this stuff that's going on, saying yes to the new reality means that you're saying yes, just like when you say yes to anything. But let's just take it from this standpoint. You see, he's presenting her with the bouquet of roses, saying yes to a marriage or a relationship. You're not going to know everything and every detail about that relationship in that moment, but you're saying yes anyways. It is a leap of faith. It is trust. It is hope in many ways. It is all these things. So when we say yes to this new reality, we're not going to have all the details. We're not going to know how it's all going to fit together. But as we go along and as we continue to move forward, things will begin to fall in place. And we really don't have to do too much. We have to just do our little part and everything will begin to fall in place. It's a tough lesson to learn. It's something that I've been having to learn. It really is, because this past month for me was actually been pretty difficult. Like last week, I got into this moment where I was like very depressed. I was very depressed, like not even too long ago, just maybe like a few days ago even. I went into like this 3 or 4 day just like depression where I was just like, on top of the anxiety that I already have and stuff like that. But I just went into like this deep depression. I was just like, yo, my confidence level shot down. Something weird happened today where I was like, oh my gosh, I saw the potential of what can happen and I got super excited. And even though I was a little bit pissed that some of these opportunities were missed, I was just super excited about the potentiality of what can come. And it excited me. And it really gave me the sense of, damn, I have nothing to worry about. For the first time in a while, even though I've been saying and stuff like that, trying to convince myself of it. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with faking it till you make it, so long as your intentions are pure. But for the first time today, me personally, as far as like some of the situations that I'm going through, I felt like I have nothing to worry about. And I saw that as a beautiful blessing. So my beautiful brothers and sisters, if there's anything that you gain out of this video, just know that if you say yes to this new reality, you have nothing to worry about because you are protected, you are guided, you are loved unconditionally. And yeah, I think that's all she wrote. But anyways, I really do hope that you all enjoyed this video. And this is going to be it's like awesome, happy Virgo new moon. So, by the time that some of you guys see this, then the moon will probably be in like the later degrees of Virgo, be heading into Libra here soon. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video. And this is definitely going to be a good new moon for writing down your intentions and stuff like that, especially considering that all these planets are here, like Mercury here is here, Mars, Venus. This will be a very good time to write down your intentions and even ask these planets. Talk to Mercury, talk to Venus, talk to Mars, talk to Jupiter, talk to Uranus, talk to these planets, talk whatever planet that you really feel called to, talk to them, talk to them, you know? So, but in any event, thank you so much for joining me on this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and gained some type of value out of it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Tap the bell to receive all the notifications that I put out on this channel. I am running a sale on my website for select services. You can receive up to 33% off when you book. This sale will be going through September the 14th, so you still have some time. You still have about 2 weeks. And I would love to speak with you all and connect with you all. I've been doing this for a while, and I have so much fun every single time that I connect with an individual and I go through their chart and I pull cards and everything. It's just as much of a learning experience for me as it is you. Like, if not, I just learned so much more, and I just get so much more excited because this tool and this modality I have found has been it's been great for me. It's allowed me to really know more about myself, and I just want to, it's helping to feel more empowered, and I want you to feel empowered as well. So if you would like to book a reading with me, you can follow the link in the description below to astrofenixx.com. And as always, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.